Okay, I think everything is working. So I never let anyone know about this video. I just thought about doing it earlier. Okay, so how do I see the chat here? Well, I'm showing, so no one's talking yet. There's no one here. Okay, probably I'm gonna have to. Okay, that's better. What is super chat? Shit. No, I don't know. Hide the chat. Okay. So I'm just gonna wait for questions to arrive in about TOEFL and about what can be expected um, worldwide when it comes in terms of TOEFL. Probably you guys have known so far um, that there's gonna be many changes. Now, the changes have been happening all along journey now. I think TOEFL started trying to solve this COVID and coronavirus issue since, I don't know, somewhere halfway March. When in China it was incredibly difficult right now for anyone to do anything at all. ETS, on the other hand, in America started to work out on solutions to make sure that students and test takers could not have any problems when it comes to TOEFL. So that's why there were many ideas that came in to try to solve this problem, and they came up with what is now the TOEFL IBT Special Home Edition, which is now pretty much the only alternative that for many test takers right now can happen, considering that the pandemic is not allowing pretty much anyone to get out of their homes. So this special edition, hello, hello. So this idea of helping students to get the test done through this home edition of the TOEFL IBT that they have has been probably one of the greatest and best executed ideas so far. Unfortunately, unlike hello Julian, unfortunately because not all tests are meant to be made at home. Okay, hello from Brazil. Thank you for joining in. So many, uh, for example, there's one test, an English certification called Linguaskill, which is by Cambridge. I had spoken about this in my previous live video, which was nothing about TOEFL. So this linguist skill is by Cambridge, and this test can be made at home. It also contains a couple of skills. As far as I've already studied, it contains the reading skill and the writing skill that you have to cope with, and it's also measured in the A1 to C1 scale that Cambridge uses. Now, TOEFL has decided to make a sort of a version of the TOEFL IBT that we already are used to get on a test center. Um, Now you can do it at home. So how does it work? The first thing that you definitely have to do is log into ets.org, obviously. Um, that will be the first thing. The second thing is check for the list. Now, there was a list, I think it disappeared in the beginning of April, of all the countries that were going to be available to use the test in the home edition, and then they just decided to do it all worldwide. So this idea has helped pretty much everyone. Now you have to program the test. This is probably one of the first things to do. Now, not because the test. Hello from India. Not because you get to do the test does it mean that this is just like I just save the test and I can do the test. No, 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 no. You have to do a lot more. Uh, you have to sign up for ets.org, which is who makes the TOEFL, but you also have to sign up for a program. I will tell you the name of the program, but I'm just booting my computer right now. But there's the school ETS and the service provider for the online connection. You see, you will use your Wi-Fi to connect to the TOEFL, right? But you have to get the connection through the server. Okay, you're not going to get connected directly to ETS server. You have to go through the program that I will tell you right away as soon as I get my computer on. um, and once you already signed up for this account and you already got this account, then they will give you all the requirements, like the date and the time that you're going to do the test. Now, the requirements for your computer is it can only run on Windows. It does not run on Mac unless your Mac is running Windows. Okay, so it definitely needs to be a PC, and it must definitely run on Windows. Now, this Windows can be Windows 7, Windows 8, and Windows 10. It will not run on Windows Vista, and obviously it's not going to run on Windows XP. But you must make sure that your internet connection is absolutely stable, considering that you're going to be sitting down doing the test for about 3 hours, 45 minutes, maybe. You're gonna be required to use a mirror, and this is probably one of the what thing you're gonna have to demonstrate that in the room where you are, there's nobody else with you. No, it doesn't run on Linux. I already checked. It must only be Windows 7, Windows 8, or Windows 10, but no Linux. Or there's no Ubuntu, there's no Mint, Linux Mint. Apparently it doesn't run with any of the Linux programs. Okay, now you have to demonstrate that you are definitely going to be alone in the room where you're going to be doing your test. The bathroom on where you're going to be doing the test must be well lit. That means it has to have well lighting. It must There must be a mirror. You're gonna have okay, there's two versions. There's the I have a laptop. You could use a laptop, obviously. There's the laptop, and your webcam cannot be separated from your thank you. It's gonna You can't separate it. But if you have an outside camera, then you can look around and show to the test examiners that you're going to be alone during the entire test. You have to also know that you're going to be observed through your webcam the entire time you're doing the test. This is one of the main rules for the test provider services, and obviously for ETS purposes, that you are going to be observed. Obviously, there must be no cameras, no people, no shady things. You have to be sitting on a chair. You cannot be sitting on a couch, on an armchair, or anything that is not an ordinary chair. Your laptop, if you're using one, cannot be anywhere else but on a table. You cannot use your laptop on your lap. It cannot be sitting on any uneven surface. It must be completely flat on your table. There must be Your clothes have to be uh, decent, I would say. It's not, I'm not saying this is actually in the website, that you have to be wearing like decent clothes. Your ears during the test must be without any you have to show your ears basically, and your ears must be visible during the entire test. They recommend you not to use bandanas, not to use hats. Obviously, you cannot use any kind of jewelry that might obstruct the view on your face or your ears. So you cannot use watches, you cannot use necklaces, you cannot use earrings, or your hair, especially for girls or anyone who's wearing long hair. Your hair has to be tied back so that your ears can be, um, you know, your ears are visible during the entire test. Um, you're gonna have the 10 minutes break like is already programmed on the test naturally. You do not have to worry about any changes in the test in terms of the real structure of the test. So if by now you've already been studying for a TOEFL, if you already know the structure, then you shouldn't be afraid about anything, considering that there's going to be no changes whatsoever in while you do the test. Okay. Another good thing that you might want to remember is that your test date actually depends on the university or whatever place that is asking you to do the TOEFL. That's who you should be really looking forward to give you an answer, and not really TOEFL. TOEFL has already solved it. Okay, you have to download the software to your computer. Obviously, it's not going to take up a lot of space. That's a good thing. I will tell you all the details in a few seconds. But yeah, it's going to take a little longer. Oh, by the way, your picture, every time that you do the TOEFL, you have to have your picture taken. And the picture that you're going to be taken is going to be sometime during the test. So you really don't know when you're going to have your photo taken, but it's definitely going to happen. Um, and I don't know, there's so many details. I think it will be required for you to definitely show your ears. I don't think this is something negotiable at this point. I know that this is a matter of your beliefs. I would definitely want to check that first about the hijab or the veil, considering that your ears need to be visible. You see, the problem is that um, as you are doing the test, people could be hitting an earpiece and somebody could be telling them the answers. Especially if the person sort of reads out loud or something. By the way, this is another important issue before I forgot. You cannot use headphones for the listening section or for the listening sections within the speaking section or the writing section. You're definitely going to have to use speakers so the sound can be heard in the entire bathroom or room wherever you're doing the test. So this is not negotiable either. So in the case of the hijab and the veil, I would definitely go check directly on ETS. There's always special forums for questions and answers. I think I missed on that one about the hijab and the veil. But you must take into consideration you need to have your ears visible for this. Okay. Now, depending on where you were at, I already saw there were people from Brazil, people from Indonesia, from Asia, and every country will have different rules. I'm pretty sure about this. Um, every day they are doing updates to all of their tests at ETS. So you definitely need to be checking in every single time. Now, according to ETS, the home edition is available worldwide already. Um, but there are still places where you cannot do the test, where the test centers are closed. Okay, now according to what people have said already, I am not stating this as a fact, but obviously places like China that are already slowly recovering from the pandemic are the countries again that are going to be retaking the test center so you can go there. Okay, but this is going to be certainly a very slow process from ending the pandemic in your country and you being able to go back to the test centers in China. They're already opening schools for kids, so I pretty am sure that this is going to be happening soon there, but that depends on your country. Now, yeah, every my latest update on ets.org is April the 22nd, so pretty much everything is the same. um, Before I started this uh, this video, I wasn't really sure about what points to take. That's why I decided this to be more like a question answer sort of dynamic. But I pretty much have said everything that you're going to be encountering with the TOEFL at home. There's not only TOEFL that you can do at home. There's also GRE. There's another system for GRE. So okay, I'm gonna get the details of what I was supposed to give you. Okay, um, your checklist. Pay attention. This is important. So what is it that you need? Your computer. You must have a laptop or a desktop. I already said that. You cannot do the test. This is important. You cannot do the test on a tablet or a mobile device. You cannot do the test in any of these two. Like I already said, you cannot use iOS. They don't even bother to mention Linux. They just say you have to use Windows, and if you have a Mac, it must be running Windows. You must use Google Chrome or Firefox browser to use a test. You have to download what they call the ETS test browser on your computer so that you can later use it for the test. And you have to sign up for both ets.org and what they call ProctorU. This is the one detail that I didn't remember. It's ProctorU System Check, which is the intermediary between you and ETS. Okay? About the speakers, I already said you must use external speakers. You cannot use earphones or headsets. Your microphone must be one of those external microphones that are like only one, but it doesn't have the earphones. Or you can use the built-in microphone that is most of the times with your webcam. That's what you can use. Um, you must have a built-in camera with your laptop, or your camera must be able to be moved around in a 360 degree, and that view must include your tabletop surface. So before you begin the test, you must allow the examiner, that's the person who's going to be looking at you must allow them to see your place. Okay, they must see that there's not a cell phone, that it's clean. Okay, now, about the privacy that you're going to be working with, you must be alone in the room. There must be nobody else with you during the entire test. You cannot do the test in public places such as parks, cafes, or restaurants, or cafe internet. That cannot happen. Your computer and keyboard must be on a surface like a table. I already said that. Um, there's a list of items that are not approved during the test. Those items may be smartwatches, tablets, phones, earphones, so on and so on. Many of them are mostly technology. Uh, if they see any of these elements in your table surface, they're not going to allow you to do the test. You must be sitting in a standard chair. You cannot sit in a couch or a bed. You cannot lie, obviously, in a bed, and you cannot lie on the couch. It cannot be an overstuffed chair. So it has to be like a very conventional chair where you're sitting. You cannot eat and you cannot drink anything during the test. The only moments where you can do it will be in the 10-minute break that you're allowed to have in between the listening and the speaking sections, but not other moment can you have any food. About your clothing, your ears must be visible. It cannot be covered by hair, a hat, or other items. So for the person who asked about the hijab, maybe this will be the other items. You must be dressed appropriately for your test. You will be monitored via webcam by the proctor, and your photo will be shared with the institutions that you share your results with. So that's why you want to make sure that your clothing is decent. You must avoid wearing any kind of jewelry such as tie clips, cufflinks, ornate clips, combs, barrettes, headbands, and other accessories. So obviously this thing will be a no-no in this case. You may not take notes on paper, and this is the point where I wanted to get, okay? You're going to be taking notes during the TOEFL Home Edition um, in a plastified piece of paper or a board. Now, I had a board somewhere here, but I can't find it. So this is the thing. in ordinary TOEFL, that is when you go to the test center, they will give you 3 pieces of paper and a pencil to take your notes. In this case, you cannot use paper and you cannot use a pencil because they have to make sure that no information whatsoever will come out of the test. So they cannot make sure that your notes will be destroyed after you finish the test. So they will ask you to have one of those erasable boards that you use this markers, whiteboard markers, or you must use this plastified sheet that is transparent on a light surface, but you will still have to use one of these erasable markers. You cannot use a pen, nothing else. Okay, so every now and then, as you are taking notes, you're going to be erasing your board. So you're going to be working on that all the time. It might be a suggestion that if you try to do the TOEFL IVT version and you want to practice, then every time you practice any exercise for the TOEFL, you do it on this plastified sheet or an erasable board. It will be a suggestion just for you to start taking that into consideration. Um, and when you finish the test, the examiner will ask you to erase the last notes on your board to make sure that there's no information leaking from your house. Uh, once you've already met this criteria, then you can register for your test home appointment, which would be basically step number 2. Okay, the ETS registration is basically the same. There's no changes whatsoever with changing it. You have to use your own, you have to use a credit card. You cannot pay the test in any other fashion, blah 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 blah. Then you have to do your registration at what they call ProctorU, which is another account. Now when you do the test in a test center, you do not have to do this. This is the only occasion because of the home edition. They give you certain phone numbers that you might want to check on ets.org in case for any online support that you need. They have both phone service or live chat, which is 24/7. Um, and pretty much all the steps on registering for the test are the same as if you would do it physically, like 4 days at least before the test date. You cannot do any changes 4 days before the test. So 4 days before your test date, you cannot do any rescheduling and you cannot cancel. Well, you can cancel, but you're not going to get your money back. So there's no rescheduling and no canceling, or you can cancel, but you're not going to be getting your money back. So while you're doing the test, there are a couple of reminders that you might want to take. Um, you want to make sure the place is well ventilated. This is not from ETS. This is my input. You might want to make sure that you are in the most quiet room in your house. If this is not your case, like if you're probably not in a good environment or your house doesn't have a good internet connection, then probably you're gonna have to leave it for another time. Or if you can ask somebody else to, let you use their house, good. But the COVID restrictions don't really allow us to go visit somebody else. So you're gonna have to toss a coin probably here. Um, there's pretty much nothing else. Oh yeah, you're gonna be required to check in before your test at home 15 minutes at least before. Okay, they're gonna ask you to be, I don't know, if your test begins at 10, and they're gonna be asking you to be there at 9:30. If by 9:45 um, you are not there, then they're gonna cancel your test. Okay, this is important. It's not 15 minutes after the test was supposed to start. No, it's 15 minutes after your appointment time, which is always 30 minutes before the test. Okay, they're gonna ask you to do several steps before the test. That's why they ask you to be there 30 minutes before, like the authentication steps, like showing your ID to the examiner or the proctor. The name on your ID must match the name for the test taker. They're gonna ask you to monitor, like show the mirror, show your desktop, making sure there are not any forbidden items near you. Um, Basically, all the paraphernalia that I've already explained about 3 times. Um, and basically, that's it. Okay? In the 10 minutes break that you have in between the listening section and the speaking section, if you don't come back on time, your test will be canceled. It's not going to be even partially considered, like you already did the reading and the listening section, and by some miracle you got 40 points. That's not going to happen. If you don't come back after the break, then your exam is canceled. Okay, you will have your results back in your email pretty much at the same times that if you had done the test in a test center, which is about a week and a half, give or take a week and a half, if you want your results to be shown to your email only, and about 3 weeks for the results to get home if you want them to post the results. um, Please keep in mind that TOEFL really takes very seriously what they do. They take very seriously the secrecy of their tests, and I think they're making a very great effort to help students to get the test done. So I think the least we can do is just respect these tiny requirements. Not to, try not to play it smart and try to outsmart the test. Just, you know, follow these rules. They're really not asking for students to do a lot. And I think it's absolutely feasible for especially people who already had a test date that need to change this. So that was pretty much it. TOEFL ETS at this point has not published anything. Today is April the 22nd, I think. Yeah. I don't know what day I'm living in yet. So up to today, they haven't published anything about reopening test centers. Okay, this is not up to them. This is pretty much up to the government for them to allow them, and they have no input whatsoever. So we don't know yet when that's gonna happen. Now, I was thinking about doing another video about tips and suggestions and strategies that you might follow at home now that the COVID is going on yet. I have a lot of students that I work with online, so obviously I try to make sure that they will study a lot. So if you want a video like that, just let me know in the comments. I know this is my first, well, this is not the first, but this is my first TOEFL live video that I've ever done, so please don't be harsh on me. But I will try to improve. I'm having a lot of students online right now from pretty much some places in the world, especially America. I have many services now on my website, so please check my website. I have certain services for TOEFL ETS, not for TOEFL IBT, not only TOEFL ITP. I am already checking for your essays in case you need an essay evaluation service. Is already on my website. You can check it. I can check one essay. I can check two essays. That's the independent and the integrated essay, which will be like a full test. I have a service for 8 different essays. Um, so, has anybody done this already? You mean the test? Because I really don't. None of my students want to do the home edition TOEFL. Since many of my students don't really need to do the test right now, so they're probably gonna hold it until the test can be done in a test center. As soon as I get students with a new experience to do the test at home, I promise I will come here and tell you all about it. I've been asking my students ever since the test changed back in August. There, you probably already know that in August there were many changes done to the TOEFL. Many of them were cuts in areas like the speaking section, where they eliminated 2 questions from this section. They made the listening section shorter, where instead of doing 6 exercises, now you're focusing on 3 up to 6 exercises, but that's as much as you get. The reading section have been also been cut down from an average of 12 questions to now only 10 questions per passage. So all of these changes, and now with the changes with the COVID, have made a little some people to not really have all the information that require. I always tell them go check ETS. I try to answer as many questions as they can, but definitely checking the website is definitely Um, Oh, the remote test. No, I have not yet had any student to do it. But like I said, I promise as soon as one of my students get this, that I will let you know what is the experience, because I try to make them remember as much as they can. So when these changes happened back in August, I've been telling my students, please let me know what what was your experience in the test, and they always send me a text saying, oh, you know what, I did see this, I didn't do this, I had to focus more on this. There are many changes right now happening in ETS, both in TOEFL IBT and TOEFL institutional. There have been many changes going on right now, and students must be aware. Not only students, but us professors, we need to keep updating ourselves with what are we going to be teaching. So for TOEFL, I am providing the service for um, writing essay evaluation and speaking answers evaluation, on which I would send you I will send you the 4 questions you will see in a TOEFL test. You send me back the audio via WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, and I will reply you back with the corrections. Obviously, all of these services have very, very low cost. Go check them out on my website. I will print out tomorrow on my website the prices for the speaking section evaluation service, but the writing services are already there. I've already had a couple of clients on that, and they've been improving their readings, their writing essays, sorry. So thank you very much for joining in, especially for the person who stayed the entire video. Kudos for standing my diatribe. But anyway, I will check in as soon as I get any more news about the TOEFL. Please keep in mind all the recommendations I gave you in this video. Keep studying, don't stop studying for your TOEFL, and keep practicing if you want to improve. And I'll see you next time, guys. Bye bye. Mm-hmm.